This is part 2 of programming the multifunction digital inputs, also known as MFDIs, in the manuals for the impulse drives. The drive we're using in this example is going to be a Series 5 VG plus drive. More on that later. The multifunction digital inputs, terminals S1 through S8, are controlled in the programming of the drives in the H01 parameters. These are described in table 5-82 of the G plus VG plus Series 5 manual. Now, there are factory default settings in all of the drives for the H1 parameters. In the Series 5 manual, these are described on table 4-8. And so what we're going to do is we're going to review table 4-8, and we're going to describe what the factory default settings are, and then we're going to show how to make some changes to these. So in 4-8, just over halfway down, you'll see the H01 parameters, and they go H01, H101, H0102, H0103, and so on, all the way down to H0108. And on this table, it lists the corresponding terminal. The way it works is H01-01 defines what terminal S1 will be. H01-02 defines what terminal S2 will be, all the way through H0108 that defines what terminal S8 will be. Now, the drive is set up from the factory. The VG Plus Series 5 drive is set up from the factory for a 3-speed multi-step input. So the first parameter, H0101, defines what terminal S1 will be. That, as a factory default, is set for the up speed minimum speed value. That is defined by the code 80. S2 terminal is the down direction or lowering the load, and that H0102 parameter for S2 is set to a value of 81. H0103, that defines terminal S3, has a value of 0, and H04, which will be your third speed, defines what terminal S4 will be, and that's a value of 1. The rest of the terminals, 5, 6, 7, and 8, in the factory default setting of 3-speed multi-step are not used. These will have a value of F. So H105 through H108 will be shown as a value of F. Now, if one goes to table 5-83, you will find these values and a whole lot of other values listed. In my drive demo, I will define how these terminals are set. So I'm going to go to Home, and I'm going to go to Menu. We're going to go to Parameters. And now we're going to look for the Group H terminal functions. Open up that. And there's the H01 digital inputs. Open that up. Now you'll notice that H0101 is set to a value of 80 or 80. And at H0102, defining terminal 2, is set to a value of 81. And H0103 is a 0. And H0104 will be a 1. And the rest are all Fs. Let's go back. Take a look at H101. We're going to open it up. I'm going to hit the enter button, and you'll see that it says 80. It's also described as forward, or it would correspond to an up direction if it was a hoist. Now, if I change this to an 81, you'll see that it goes to reverse. There are a whole array of choices for these multi-function digital inputs. Now, one thing, and I can just scroll around and show all kinds of values here. We're going to set some in a minute. I'm going to back out. And let's take a look at what the 0 represents here. So I'm on H103 for terminal S3, and it says 0, multi-step, speed reference 2. Okay, back out. Let's look at what S4 is. Enter. And that's set to a value of 1 for multi-step, speed reference 3. Back out. I'm going to program terminal number S5 for this demonstration to generate what's termed an external fault. So we go to S5. What's that value of F mean? Not used. So when one goes into the program and it looks at the multi-function inputs, if a value of F is seen, that terminal is available for programming, or it's not used. What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the value to a 20. Oh, there we are. And it says external fault, normally open. And this, it always, and ramp indicates what's going to happen with the drive if this input gets activated. All right. Now, all of the potential values that one can use for the terminals are shown in table 5-83. Okay, I'm going to program this terminal for the external fault, normally open, and that means action at closed. So when this terminal goes high, the input goes high on terminal S5, the drive will trip out on an external fault. I'm going to lock it in. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to terminal S6. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to program this terminal for an external fault reset, which happens to be the code 3F. Too far. Fault reset. Lock it in. Back out. So now I'm going to run the drive. I'm giving the drive a run command. I activate the input on terminal number S5. I got an EF, external fault, terminal S5. Notice that the alarm light is on. When I release the run command, the drive remains locked in this fault code. Now, I'm going to open up the input. So the input is gone, but the drive is still locked in an EF5 fault. Now, one way I could reset this is to hit the reset key on the keypad. All right. But let's say I'm not at the keypad on the drive. I'll activate that input again. Open it up. But now with my additional input to terminal number 6 on my controlling device, I'll activate this, and that clears the fault. So with the input for a fault reset, I do not have to be at the keypad to reset the fault. I can use a remote device to reset a fault condition.